I get shit done, I have fun. It's my time and I'm the one. I'm breaking through.
Bruce, do you hear the audio now? We have a lull because apparently, let's go back to eat that frog. Thank you. I'm glad people have my backside. Bruce, who's an expert in producing and helping people in their live streams, does it for a service, but he did it for me as a friend. So I appreciate that, Bruce. Much love to you. Okay, let's start back. So eat that frog. it's a program that's had an impact on myself and many of my clients, as well as many of Brian Tracy's. And that's where it originated from. It helps people increase their productivity, eliminate low value activities, and assist with mental powers. Also, I work on mental fitness, right? So, are you ready to eat that frog? A couple of things that I've learned along the way, whether it's eat that frog or learning any new idea, concept, or principles, is we go through this 4 stages of learning. You go from unconsciously incompetence, which we essentially is don't know what we don't know. The next one is become heightened awareness. Okay, now we know what we don't know. We're moving towards becoming consciously competent. Now we're developing a skill, turning it more into a habit, so we don't have to think about it so much. If you think of the process that you went through to learn how to drive a car, you went through this cycle of learning. But we get to that point where we're unconsciously competent. That's where the new habit and new behavior is. So eating a frog can be one of those as well. So guess what the biggest positive impact is around eating a frog? The frog is, what's the thing that you just, if you got that done, would shift your life, both professionally and personally, to another level. And the reason we use the metaphor of a frog is, like I said, I can't stand them. There was one time I was at a party and they had frog legs as an appetizer. I gagged, I couldn't do it. I didn't even taste it. I heard it tastes just like chicken, but I can't tell if you for a fact if it does or not. So the idea is to eat that biggest frog, the biggest, ugliest, juiciest frog, and it'll have the most impact in a positive way for you. So eat a live frog first thing in the morning, and not much worse will happen to you for the rest of the day. It also increases the endorphins and dopamine and a whole bunch of other things, but you just feel good, and you want to get more shit done. That's the theme song of my intro and outro is we're in the business of helping you get shit done. So eating a frog will make that happen. So today I wanted to talk about goal setting, personal goal setting. It's actually the master skill of success. Yeah, it is. No secret, but that's what it is. So first of all, you have to decide what is it you want. So what is it you want to grow into? Who do you want to meet? What do you want to read? What do you want to learn? Where do you want to go? Who do you want to hang out with? And every day do something to move towards it. Hence, eat that frog. Now, some frogs are so damn big. Like there's a fellow on here who's the CEO of a company. And they've got one of the greatest pieces of software. I'm going to bring him up. His name's Carl Bryan. And apparently, he suffers from the, I just read about this today. Suffers the bike shelf syndrome because he's got this piece of software that helps you get more stuff done in your own business. And it's one of his big, hairy, audacious, juiciest goals and frogs. And he's actually made it come to be. It's a pretty fantastic piece of software, by the way. So every day you move towards it. Your goal, that is. Now, specificity is key. The name of the company that I'm tied to is Focal Point. And one of the reasons why we have that name is Brian Tracy wrote this great book called Focal Point. And the idea of the focal point is to narrow your scope, get laser focused as to what it is you want to do. Don't try to do everything for everybody because you'll end up doing not much for anybody, including yourself. So be specific. Now, 3D thinking. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, so I'll share it to the best of my ability without a whiteboard. Just think of this, though. First of all, we have a thought because we've decided what it is we want to do. What's the thought around that? And then we start seeing an image, a picture, something, a vision, whatever you want to call it. And as we're thinking about that and getting clarity around that vision, picture, and image, we get feelings and emotions around it. Now, the feelings and the emotions are the fuel that drives us to get to where we want to go. And then as we get that emotional attachment and connection to it, we get another thought or two and another picture, or the original picture gets some clarity, becomes more, instead of a fuzzy black and white, barely can see it, becomes more vibrant, more colorful, more energetic, which takes us back to the emotion. And the emotion builds and the fuel grows, and it's the desire. And actually, the desire is the first principle in Hill's book called Think and Grow Rich, a burning desire. So when we get to a place where you have a burning desire, we can make shit happen. Going back to Carl Bryan, he's got this piece of software. I'm pretty sure that he's gone through that cycle, that three-dimensional cycle, to keep him going, to have that burning desire to make this thing come to life. So you get to do the same thing. And as you do that, eat this frog, you'll increase your causative power. And the psychological phraseology for that is self-efficacy. It's different than confidence, but they go hand in hand. They're like polar opposites. They're one side of the same coin. So if you can increase your self-esteem and your self-confidence, self-efficacy is on the other side of that. And as you increase the self-efficacy, you come up with more energy, thoughts, and resiliency and tenacity to get stuff done. You'd be like water off a duck's back. If you see a duck or floating around in a pond and you see a nice, gentle wake behind it, on the surface, it looks pretty calm. Underneath, though, it's going a mile a minute with its feet to make it move. So we get to increase our ability to move faster to where we want to get to. I do have a document, which I don't have available to drop into the comments here right now. But if you want to have access to it, it's a digital booklet that I put together about how to get more done in terms of developing your efficacy. Just shoot me a note, either a message, DM me, or email. Email us phil@coachphil.ca. Happy to send it your way. And so there you go. Goal setting is the master skill of success. Zig Ziglar says that you want to stop being a wandering generalist and you want to be a meaningful specific. And how you get there is by having goals as to where you want to go. So how do you know you're on track? How do you know you're moving towards what you want to be? You have goals, because without a goal, nothing happens. Well, something happens, but you're probably not moving and growing to where you would like to be. You're just kind of settling. So if you don't want to settle in your life, set goals, have a burning desire, and develop your efficacy. So here's a thought. The more I set goals and work toward them, the happier and more successful I become. Interesting, right? Simple. Not always easy. So personal goal setting pretty much wraps it up. That is the master skill of success. You decide, move every day, you have specificity and 3D thinking. Develop your self-efficacy, and there we go. Pretty simple stuff, pretty easy, but not always easy to implement. So maybe one of your first goals is to, maybe your biggest frog to eat if you don't have your goals figured out, is to identify what's your major definite purpose. Yeah, MDP, major definite purpose. And maybe that'll be your goal. Until you figure out what your purpose is, then you can start making other goals to move towards supporting you in your major definite purpose. So that's my show for today. If you like what this is about and know somebody who has a story that would be important for people in the world to hear, because we change one life, that's fantastic. If you know somebody, do an introduction to me. Happy to have a conversation and get them on the airwaves. I do want to put in a couple of things here before we sign off. I'll put this in, and then the business growth score. If you want to figure out what your business growth score is, you can go to my website, coachphil.ca. Oh, actually, it's coachphil.ca. The email is phil@coachphil.ca. And have a look around there, and you'll see a link to access the business growth score. And there's nothing to buy, no credit cards required, just an assessment for you to check in and see where you're at. If that appeals to you, by all means, jump in and take it. And the last thought for today is from one of my mentors from way long time ago. I forget how many decades it was. Is a former Dutch Canadian, who's when he's former because he's passed on. And he was the guy who made Bob Proctor, or helped make Bob Proctor be as good as what he is, because he taught him about the stick man and a whole bunch of other cool things. And one of the things I really admire about Val Vanderwall was this: the you in wonderful is like that on purpose, because it's representing you and it's representing me as a you. And I encourage you to go out and be wonderful, because you are unique and you truly are wonderful. That's a wrap for today, and we'll catch you on another show.
I get shit done, I have fun. It's my time and